and welcome to another episode of Marketing Eye Podcast. My name is Anna D'Souza, and I'm one of the marketing consultants at Robotic Marketer. I specialize in marketing strategies, and I work with a lot of international companies, particularly related to technology. In our podcast, we also have Mellissah Smith, who is the managing director at Marketing Eye and Robotic Marketer and a couple of different companies over the period of a very, very long career.
Hi, Hannah. How are you today?
Great to have you, Mellissah. We also have Kate Hanley. Kate Hanley is one of the marketing managers at Marketing Eye. She specializes in real estate. She works with a lot of companies, local companies, helping them with their marketing, getting them to succeed in the market, basically.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kate. We finally also have Lennia Pedroso. Lennia is one of the marketing execs here at Marketing Eye. She is specialized in working with a lot of up-and-coming businesses and apps also. Check out Carrier Book. She is the brand ambassador of Carrier Book, so make sure you follow her and the brand. Welcome, Lennia.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me on this podcast.
Thank you, Lennia. Thank you all for being here. Today in our podcast, we will be discussing the best ad campaigns in the world. We're going to learn a few things from those campaigns, why they were successful, and also how we as marketers can implement that in the campaigns we develop in the future. Mellissah, maybe you could start off with what you think is the best.
Yeah, definitely. I've been in advertising and marketing for 28 years, so a very long time. And it was long before there was internet and long before there was, virtual reality advertising and the advertising on podcasts, etc. So it's an interesting journey to see the evolution of advertising and how it's played in the mindset of consumers and from a B2B perspective. What I've found most interesting over the last 12 months is the integration between marketing campaigns and advertising and how much it's really grown. I was watching the other day an ad campaign that was done using virtual reality, and that takes a lot more skill in developing than I think the traditional advertising campaigns, whether it's press or a television commercial. And, I seeing that transition and companies experiment in they advertise and the way that they connect with their consumer is really quite fascinating. And a lot of it's to do with psychology, but a lot of it is also to do with, what is the next greatest platform for a company to advertise on. What really interests me is creativity. That's the thing that stays in our mind long after we've actually seen the advertising campaign. This year, particularly, people are, I suppose, more woke. Even if you aren't as socially conscious as others, there are elements of that in each and every one of us. And, watching the Nike advertising campaign on racism, don't have a blind eye to racism. Change the way that you're thinking. Don't just step back. And I think that to me was one of the highlights of the year because I feel like that talked to us all, no matter where you are in life or what your thoughts are. It really ignited a passion and an opportunity for people to share their own voices on racism. And I think Nike did a really good job.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting how a very important topic can be used to actually give a very, a creative spin to it, but, you kind of communicate that. And that's the beauty of what marketing is. It's taking a topic and communicating it in the most creative manner so that it really captures the audience. What about you, Kate? What's, according to you, is the best?
So probably not as topical, I guess, but I think maybe progressively technology-wise, the new Apple iWatch 6, their new advertising campaign is very disruptive, and I think it really captures the market. It already tells people what the Apple Watch can do, and I think the way that they've created the ad it really engages the consumer. Like, I want to go and buy one. And probably maybe 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been that interested in having a watch that could do all these things. But they spell out all the different functionality, but they already say, like, it's already out there. But if you don't know about it, what's the point of it being there?
Yeah.
Do you think the reason why people buy Apple products is just because it's the brand and the lifestyle behind it rather than the actual marketing, like their campaigns and stuff like that?
It's interesting that you asked that, because we were actually having a conversation with a couple of my other marketing friends, and we were saying that, is it the brand that we buy or is it the products that the brand, like what gets us there? And we were saying that Apple has such strong brand resonance that their why, their what and their how is so well built within the brand that is what makes you buy Apple. Like, it may not necessarily be the best technology, but I think everyone knows what that little Apple symbol says and what it does.
Yeah, I think it is exceptional branding, and it's something that has worked extremely well over the years. The fact that we wait for an Apple announcement of a new product in the way that we do, and we line up to buy it is really quite incredible. It is a lifestyle brand. One Apple product, you tend to have multiple products. It's not a singular product that you buy. They really have integrated into our lives in a way that we probably never thought was imaginable in the past. And when you think about it, and you've seen that show on Netflix, for instance, about the social network, you think, well, oh my gosh, I've just given all of this data to this company, but for some reason we trust in that. And so Apple's really created a trustworthy platform. Whether they are or not is another thing. But the truth of the matter is we do trust to give them all of our details all of the time. And there's nothing that's hidden from Apple. So I think the data that they have on the consumer is so much more significant than any other platform. I think Apple also has been able to be a really good brand and a really good marketing experiment, but it also has quality products. And we had a blind eye to the fact that many of these products are made in China, and people aren't paid fairly for the work that they do, and yet Apple reaps all of this profit. And for some reason, even the people that go out there and they're advocates for doing the right thing, they have a blind eye to it. It's quite incredible, really.
That's the thing, we don't even think about it twice most of the time. Purchasing, that wouldn't even cross my mind, to be honest, when I'm purchasing an Apple product. And it's like you said, once you do have one Apple product, it's just so easy to get the next and the next and the next. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, definitely. I do think that when, especially for marketers and businesses, when they are marketing their product and their business, they really need to think about their brand and what they're communicating. Because customers are not just going to buy their products, but they're buying the entire thing, the entire package that is their brand.
Like buying the experience as well.
Yeah.
So what Kate said, I mean, I've seen a lot of Apple campaigns on TV, on my social media. People who've got the product itself, they're happy, they're fashionable, they've got the best, it's the best of the best. So if I go purchase that product, I will feel so...
You'd feel the same.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you're that person. You're going to emulate exactly what they're trying to sell you.
Yeah, similarly to Coca-Cola ads, there's so many campaigns showing the experience of having a Coca-Cola or having the drinking the
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Everyone on those ads are happy. You want to share the drink. You want to share the experience with your friends. So having that product itself, it's really touching on your emotions, touching on consumer experience, which is what actually helps people buy the product.
Yeah, and I think very much so with Coca-Cola, they are an experience brand, and it's the experience you have when you have one of their products that really is memorable.
I think that's the other thing about advertising these days is that you're buying an experience as well. People, an ad is an ad, but if you can remember what the experience within that ad was, say if it's Corona, you're sitting on the end of a boat dock, having a couple of beers with your mates, and it's the middle of summer, and Coca-Cola is very similar in their sort of branding, is they do that whole summer experience and that vibe and that party lifestyle. you're buying an experience. And I think that's the biggest thing is advertising these days. You're either buying a brand, I think you're buying an experience.
And it's good that you touched on the experience and where customers are in the moment when they see that, because the recollection, right? And I think Tourism Australia did really well with that a few years ago, being the Crocodile Dundee ad campaign.
And you can remember that? Wow, geez.
Who was in it, Anna?
Chris Hemsworth.
Really? Okay, I've missed a generation here. I'm thinking Paul Hogan.
So what Tourism Australia did is play on the world's knowledge of the old Crocodile Dundee, which was Paul Hogan. And that's, especially for Americans, that's who they think Australians are.
Totally.
Basically, that's the Australian experience.
G'day, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what Tourism Australia did really well, is that they took something that the customer loved and they made a whole story on that, and they communicate that in a way that took them on that journey. What turned out was it was just an ad campaign for Tourism Australia rather than an actual reboot of a classic. So it really kept the audience at the edge of their seat. A new movie coming out with a very Australian actor, that is Chris Hemsworth, in today's day and age.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to think about, is the experience, that thing that actually gets the customer into the story and how it connects to something that they know and they love, and that, the nostalgia of a particular thing.
Yeah. And I think more and more in today's advertising, we're seeing that real story side of advertising, which I'm really, to be honest, enjoying. We're seeing longer ads, we're seeing more information, but it's being done in a way that's so creative that you want to remember the whole thing and you do want to be part of that experience, I guess.
Yeah, marketing is basically the art of storytelling, because that's what customers want. They just don't want to be sold a product. They want you to tell them why they need to buy it. Mm-hmm. They want you to capture their attention in that.
One of the advertising campaigns that really stuck out to me recently was looking at the Burger King moldy ad campaign. I found that was particularly interesting in the way that they were prepared to show the life of an actual burger and the reality, if it does have no artificial colouring and preservatives, that it will actually become mouldy. So showing that transparency in their burgers was really quite interesting, but it stuck in my mind. I mean, you really can't get out of your mind a picture of a burger being mouldy and the fact that you may have eaten that burger the day before, right? So I think that really ignites something in our mindsets, that a healthy burger will go mouldy, an unhealthy burger will live for 30 days like McDonald's.
I was going to say, I think there was one in McDonald's, I want to say about Paris or somewhere like that, and it's been sitting in the window for years. And there's been an actual burger, and there's been no change in the bun whatsoever. Years.
When you compare the difference between McDonald's and Burger King, in reality, they taste fairly similar. And yet, when you hear stories like the fact that McDonald's have a burger that can last for years and years without changing its colour or the look and feel of it, it's really quite scary that goes in our bodies and how that actually transpires. Whereas when you're looking at the Burger King transparency of their Super Bowl advertising campaign with the mouldy burger, it kind of really ignites something different in you. And their sales didn't go up that much because of that advertising campaign, but I think it's something that we remember. So, next time we go to make that purchase, it's something that we remember. This burger is fresh because it does this. And it's got preservatives because it does that. What do we want in our bodies? I think that's a really important message for everyone.
My question would be, how important is that budget that you spent on an advertising campaign? They spent millions of dollars on it, but they didn't get any sales from it. The whole point of marketing is that there is a sales conversion sometimes.
I think in this case, branding was more important. Mm-hmm. Yes, they did have projections of 3% increase in sale, and it was in fact 0.06% that they had an increase in sales. So it was much lower than they envisaged and what they were targeting. But at the same time, they still see that advertising campaign as being successful. And if you look at the industry and speak to their other counterparts, people see that as a successful advertising campaign. Now, if you look at MasterCard, who up until 2010 had spent $510 million on one campaign. And that was the theme around priceless, which still extends today. But they kept on exhausting that one theme over decades, basically, and exhausted itself. They weren't getting a return on investment, and we don't hear too much about MasterCard these days.
Couldn't even tell you the last time, honestly, that I heard the word MasterCard. And yet they've spent that amount of money. I mean, I think it definitely had its place, but I also think there's an expiry on campaigns and on slogans, and that's why it's so imperative that you do research and you continuously look at the market as well and just make sure that you are staying front of center, front of mind, and I guess updating the brand to be within the new digital era and continually transforming yourself.
But also focusing your advertisements on current issues that's happening today. Like, for example, the Dove beauty campaigns, they started those 10 years ago even, but they are still relevant today as there are so many issues on beauty, feminism, and self-worth. So we're using old themes of campaigns over and over again, but making it relevant to today's is what makes it really powerful and what makes things relevant pretty much.
Yeah, and Dove's done a really good job of that.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to what you said, Kate, about staying front of mind, how important is having an integrated marketing campaign in advertising?
I think it's really important, purely because you want to be touching your customer base in every single angle and trying to get them. You want to be the product that they're looking at versus your competitors. That's the entire point. It's that, what do you call it? I think it's cliffing in supermarkets where they put certain products at certain eye levels and then they move other products out of your eye line. So it's similar to that. So that's exactly why you want to be across multiple platforms, because that's the only way that you're reaching your customers.
And also, I suppose, controversy in advertising campaigns, the mileage that gets from an integrated perspective. If you look at Nike, they've been really good at doing that. Dove has been really good at doing that as well. They have ignited controversy and discussion, and that has led to millions of dollars worth of extra mileage that they wouldn't have got if they just focused on advertising and playing it safe. So sometimes playing it unsafe, it is actually the best thing for your brand. And if you're talking about making sure we're being socially conscious, Nike's done that really well. And they've also done controversy really well. Dove with different shaped women. Everyone wanted to write about it. Everyone wanted to talk about their experience. So you had bloggers, you had social media people, influencers. They were all engaged in that branding and advertising campaign because they could see themselves in it, or they had a point of view, and it gave them an opportunity to share their voice.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I feel strongly about integrated marketing communications and campaigns is that they keep the conversation going. It doesn't stop with just that advertising campaign, but they do continue it on social media, on the different digital channels. Many people say, oh, we need to just focus on traditional marketing, or we just need to focus solely on digital marketing. No, we need a good combination of everything, a little bit of everything, because your customer can be anywhere across those channels, and you need to capture them, and you need to communicate your story and the message of what your brand stands for and the product you're selling is very important. I think we've had a wonderful conversation today about integrated marketing campaigns and the advertisement campaigns that have worked in the world and what we can learn. Thank you, Mellissah, Kate, Lennia, for joining us today. We will be back next week for another episode of Marketing Eye Podcast. See you soon.